Et salut à tous, on est de retour sur Her Story pour le 3e épisode. Alors la dernière fois on avait un tout petit peu éclairé ce qui se passait dans l'histoire, mais on n'a pas vraiment avancé sur la vérité, entre guillemets. On a encore quelques mots à noter, donc on va voir si on apprend des choses. Alors, j'en étais... Fausse couche. Ok, il y a 3 vidéos.
I lost the baby. I had a miscarriage at 8 months. We carried on living at Simon's parents until, well, it was only a few months after. Then my parents died. It was the worst year of my life. The miscarriage and then my parents. Hannah had a miscarriage. This was late in the pregnancy and it left her infertile. Felt like the universe had corrected its course. We were aligned again. But Hannah and Simon were still living with his parents. They were married. Simon had a job at the Glaziers now. Eric had given him a full-time position after he left school. And then...
Ok, bon, on n'apprend pas plus de choses qu'on ne sait déjà en fait. J'ai quand même rajouté vitrier puisqu'on l'avait pas écrit, je crois. Ok, bon, on va mettre stérile, c'était le deuxième mot-clé que j'avais mis. On l'a pas déjà vu ça?
Hannah had a miscarriage. This was late in the pregnancy.
Ouais, on vient de le voir. Pourquoi il nous dit qu'on l'a vu? C'est bizarre. Il me dit qu'on l'a pas vu. Ah, ou alors c'est... Non, je suis bête, c'est l'inverse. C'est où il y a un petit truc... Attendez, je me suis gourée en fait, je crois. C'est celle-là en fait qu'on n'a pas vue. C'est l'inverse. N'importe quoi.
Yeah. They'd gone to bed feeling ill, thinking it was flu or something. The neighbour called me, I had to use my key to let them in. We found them dead in their bed. And they'd been there for days. No one had noticed. Just awful. It was so soon after my miscarriage. The worst year of my life. I'd been so happy to get married, and after that it was just like, fuck. Yeah. I mean, I was infertile. Thought I was. They told me I was infertile after the miscarriage because of complications.
Moi, je vois le truc venir, hein, franchement. Parce que je pense qu'après sa fausse couche, elle est devenue cinglée. Et en fait, si on regarde les dates, et si je me trompe pas, là, c'est en juin. Et là, elle est complètement zinzin en juillet, quoi. Je suis sûre que j'ai raison. Du coup, je retape ça puisqu'on s'est gouré.
I think it was that time, the first time, at the house, in his bed, that I got pregnant. Amazing, right? This fucking magic sperm. And they say lightning doesn't strike twice. I didn't tell him. I missed 3 periods. I had pretty irregular periods anyway, but 3. I had always thought we were infertile. Both of us. I didn't tell him. Just waited. Hannah and I were meeting for our birthday and I told her because I thought she would be happy for us both. I think she was.
Ok. Par contre... Elle nous a toujours pas dit réellement son prénom ou je rêve? Bon, on va continuer. Alors, cave, parce que je rappelle que la cave, il y a eu plein de trucs. Il y avait le cadavre et tout ça.
Well, fine, considering. I got back into the house today, and that was weird, knowing your people had been there through my things. It's like I'd been burgled. Only worse, obviously. I don't know. I haven't looked in the cellar yet. They sent a cleaner in. As good as new, he said. But they had to throw some stuff out. Couldn't get the blood out. And I'm still waiting to hear from the coroner so we can get a date set for the funeral. It's going to be a cremation. So,
là, j'ai noté tout ce qui était relatif à la mort. Hein. Sang, médecin, crémation, funérailles. On peut peut-être glaner des informations vis-à-vis de ça, je sais pas. Parce qu'on imagine qu'entre cette vidéo-là et cette vidéo-là, il a été enterré. Enfin non, brûlé.
it happened very quickly. We hardly had to talk to each other. We agreed almost silently. The baby was what mattered. We'd help each other. We cleaned up. We bagged up the broken mirror, her clothes. They're gone. We took him down to the cellar. We knew we had an alibi, and we wanted the body to be found later. We wanted to have suspicion on us, so we could then disprove it, rather than have it linger. Better to keep the body in the house than risk being seen with it. The watch, that was my touch, to make sure the alibi stuck.
Alors attendez, parce qu'elle est en train de me dire qu'elle l'a tué, quoi. Alibi... On va revoir cette vidéo. J'ai marqué montre aussi, je l'ajoute à la session, celle-là. Revoyons.
It happened very quickly. We hardly had to talk to each other. We agreed almost silently. The baby was what mattered. We'd help each other. We cleaned up. We bagged up the broken mirror, her clothes. They're gone. We took him down to the cellar. We knew we had an alibi, and we wanted the body.
Je sais pas qui c'est nous et il.
We wanted to have suspicion on us, so we could then disprove it, rather than have it linger. Better to keep the body in the house than risk being seen with it. The watch, that was my touch, to make sure the alibi stuck.
Contact. Je marque quelques mots-clés pour avoir plus d'infos. Alors, Doug. Je sais plus qui c'était dans l'histoire, mais elle en a parlé. Ah, ça revient plusieurs fois, visiblement.
I hoover, I dust every week, maybe less. I once asked Eleanor how often I should dust, and she said, if people ask, tell them you do it once a week, but every few weeks is okay. I think she was just trying to make me feel better. I mean, when I was there, she was hoovering every day. Ran an ordered house. You know how that generation is, putting on a brave front. She has secret stashes of cigarettes. Doug doesn't even know she smokes. When I was there, I saw her. She has these sort of porcelain vases, ornamental, next to the Reader's Digest books. Cigarettes inside. And she still has them. I mean, last time I was there, I looked in a vase. There was a fresh pack. I mean, all those years of marriage, and she still has a secret like that.
Ok, bon, je marque quand même Eleanor, hein. Ça a l'air d'être une domestique ou je ne sais pas quoi. Même si à mon avis on n'aura pas plus d'infos dessus, mais on va voir. Par contre, ce qui est intéressant, c'est qu'on n'a pas de mobile en fait. pourquoi elle l'aurait tué, Simon, là. C'est ça qui me pose question, en fait. Comme ça, pour le fun.
Okay. I parked up on the street. It was busy, so I had to park down the end of the road. Walked up, knocked on the door, no answer. I took my keys out of my bag and unlocked the door. The main lock was unlocked. You can tell because the key doesn't turn when you try to turn it to the left. I walked in, Simon's coat wasn't on the peg. I couldn't see his shoes in the shoe rack. I shouted out. I walked straight into the kitchen because he usually sits in there to have a cup of tea and read his paper, but he wasn't there. I touched the kettle, it was cold. I looked quickly in the living room, nothing. So I walked upstairs to the bedroom and he wasn't there. I didn't search for him because it was pretty clear he wasn't there. I had a shower. The phone rang whilst I was in the shower. I didn't answer it. I think it was Eric. Then I was just exhausted. So I lay down on the bed and I fell asleep, though I didn't mean to. I woke up a couple of hours later and I was surprised to see no one in the bed next to me. And then I remembered where I was and what had happened. That's when Eric called again. This time I spoke to him. Then I called Doug and Eleanor. And then I decided to come and see you. That enough? No. 1984 was an awful year in the end. We were living at Doug and Eleanor's. I lost the baby at the end of spring and my parents died in the summer. It was a hot summer, a heat wave. So when they discovered the bodies, it was just awful. Because of the circumstances, them dying together like that, they brought in a lot of police. A forensic entomologist. I had to look that up. It was because of the heat. It's just awful.
Alors, elle a dit quoi, 1984
1984 was an awful year.
Okay. Ça, je vais le noter aussi. C'est pas la même date, en fait, que ses parents ont été... Enfin, sont morts, en fait. On avait jusque-là pas de... Enfin, pas de temps, quoi, précis. On sait pas si les parents étaient morts tout de suite ou pas. Ah, j'ai pas regardé celle-là.
Yeah. I've been round to Doug and Eleanor's and they're very worried. I feel sorry for them.
D'accord. Alors, j'avais noté réponse. Réponse, pas une réponse, mais réponse la princesse, quoi. On a deux.
Did I pass? Sorry, I messed it up with all that Rapunzel stuff. Do you need me to do that card again? We were obsessed with fairy tales. Not just the pretty, pretty ones, but the traditional ones. They were dark and real, bizarre and violent. Felt like life. We had this huge old book that I think Mum must have bought from a library sale. The illustrations had thin tracing paper over them to protect them. They were in colour, shiny plates. At the front of the book was an index of illustrations. We read that more than the actual stories. We'd read aloud the captions and flip between the pictures. There was something intimate about peeling back the tracing paper, undressing the pictures. Rapunzel's hair is cut. The eagle plucks out his heart. The princess pricks her finger.
Ok, bon, rien de spécial là-dessus. Alors, vitrier. Ok.
A mobile phone? Yeah. Well, they have one for the glaziers, but it's only for work. I can't remember the number. Oh, it's in the kitchen. I saw it plugged into its charging cradle. I did. Well, we met when we were 17, both working at the glaziers. No, everyone loved Simon. He's a glazier, he doesn't have much money. I don't know. I don't know.
D'accord. On apprend juste qu'ils sont mis ensemble à 17 ans, mais rien de plus, quoi. Alors, voisin. Ok, y a rien. Alors, je me demande quand est-ce qu'on va être à court de mots. Peut-être bientôt. 100. Ah, il y en a plein.
Okay. I've given blood before. Do you need to take that for your records? Nothing like this has ever happened to me before. The blood. It's probably the worst thing that's ever happened to me. Like I said before, it was 3, something like that. I walked in, saw Simon. He was on the floor of the living room. His throat had been cut. There was a lot of blood. Yeah, he was dead.
Alors, ça, on va l'ajouter à la session, bien sûr. Je vais essayer de noter les mots-clés. La gorge. Quoi d'autre?
Il
y a 3 ans.
Saw Simon. He was on the floor of the living room.
Salle de séjour, le séjour.
His throat had been
tranché.
cut. There was a lot of blood.
94. Et du coup, ça fait... Il y a 3 ans.
Yeah, he was dead.
Pas clair.
She was sat behind him. She had my wig on. And she'd been there all day. And she had blood on her. And she was in shock.
Ok, alors je sais pas de quoi elle parle. On va voir, j'ai mis perruque. Alors, médecin. Oui, il y a de la musique là. On approche peut-être de la vérité. Il n'y a rien sur le médecin. Je vais mettre légiste du coup. Ok, rien non plus. Crémation.
Yes, it was a cremation for the best. We both wore black and had veils, so it was easy. And after the funeral, everyone came back to the house. Hannah served up sandwiches, and I stayed out of sight.
Alors, je vais d'ores et déjà taper les dates parce que sinon on va oublier. Alors, on va taper 91, 94 et 84. Déjà 84 pour les parents. Euh, 91, j'ai dit. Bon. Ok. Nettoyer.
Yes, yeah. I would have cleaned them. I changed the sheets too, with the fingerprints in all those places.
Attends, les empreintes. C'est pas ça que j'ai tapé. C'était nettoyé. Je sais pas écrire moi.
Yes, yeah. I would have cleaned them. I changed the sheets too. With the fingerprints in all those places.
Ouais, les empreintes. Je l'ai juste mal écrit. Ah, il y en a plein là.
Fine. I've never had my fingerprints taken before. I once put my hand on the oven. Fingerprints. Could they have been my parents' fingerprints? I'm not sure how long they last for, but is that possible? Really? Go on then. Take the cup. Run your fingerprints. They'll match. Fucking idiot.
Ok, bon, ça je vais l'ajouter, même si elle a l'air d'être ironique dans sa façon de parler. Mais bon, on va quand même le noter. Alors, alibi. Un jour, il faudra qu'on regarde toutes les vidéos qu'on a mises ici. Je sais pas s'il y a un accès limité. Pour l'instant, non. La montre. Ok, rien du tout. Contact. Non plus, ça donne rien. Eleanor. Ah.
Yes. I speak with Eleanor at least once a day. Not that there's anything much to say. It's more just...
Bah, je suis sursauté. Je m'attendais pas à ça.
This is the third day running you've called me in. I speak to Doug and Eleanor every day. They say you've been asking a lot of questions. About me. Should I be worried? Am I a suspect?
Alors, on peut noter suspect. Je pense pas que je l'ai noté dans mes notes. De toute façon, au pire, on a la liste des mots, si jamais on a un doute. Suspect. Alors, je sais pas si vous avez calé aussi, mais elle a toujours 2 gobelets, souvent. Regardez, 2 gobelets, 2 gobelets, 2 gobelets. Là, elle a 1 gobelet. 2 gobelets. Alors, est-ce que c'est pour signifier que l'interrogatoire est long, ou est-ce que c'est pour signifier qu'elle a 2 personnalités au moment où elle parle? Ah, je sais pas, c'est peut-être juste du symbole, j'en sais rien. Mais ça me pose question. Je viens seulement de remarquer. Alors, 84, ça marche pas. Compte.
And the Glaziers. I worked there some weekends and Simon had a part-time job there too. That was Eric's generosity. He was always good at helping out other people's children. Simon was quiet, more thoughtful than the other boys. Even then, he had a sense of craftsmanship. Wasn't always rushing stuff. Boys that age are just running around like headless chickens most of the time. You know? Plus, he had that look. He looked like a fairy tale prince from one of my books. Simon never cheated on me. He was devoted to me, and I was devoted to him. Nothing in life is easy. We were good to each other. Life isn't a fairy tale. You do what you can. Well, She wasn't my real mother, but she raised me. Do you want to hear the story? It's a real life fairy tale.
Ok, on n'apprend pas plus que ça. On n'a toujours pas de mobile. Hein. Alors, téléphone. Y a rien. Gorge.
His body didn't real. And his throat. It looked like his throat had been cut. And I didn't see his glasses. He has these thick glasses. It doesn't always wear. On his throat. How?
Ok, bon, j'ai noté lunettes. Le séjour, là où apparemment il a eu la gorge tranchée. C'est pas vraiment clair parce que comment il a pu se retrouver du séjour à la cave? Elle l'a bien descendu, non? Ok, y a rien. Tranché. Perruque, parce qu'il y a cette histoire de perruque, j'ai pas compris. Qui avait une perruque sur la tête? Ah, oula, il y en a plein là.
A wig? You mean? But what type of wig? No, I've never worn a wig. What kind of wig? This other person doesn't exist. I don't know what the blonde wig is, but it could be anything. Have you looked at the cat flap? No. The parents decided there would be a wedding. And after the wedding, Hannah moved in with his parents. There was no way I could follow. So we were separated again. I stayed in the attic. It was hard. It's like I suddenly didn't exist. I would sneak out, but in case anyone recognized me, I started wearing a wig. Hannah and I would meet up in the park. I was trying to get pregnant. But I couldn't. I mean, I couldn't do it with anyone we knew, so it was sex with strangers. Drunk guys I'd met in clubs, parks and alleyways. I was 17. It felt like I was being punished. But it was Hannah who had betrayed us. I had to stop when one of the guys gave me an STD. When we met up, it was disturbing. For the first time, my reflection, she didn't look like me. She was fatter, flushed. If anything, I was getting skinnier. I found it hard to look sometimes. We talked about what to do. Was it time to become our own people? I mean, that seemed like the right thing to do, but neither of us wanted it. We agreed that her and Simon would get their own place as soon as possible, and then I could move in. And that was the plan.
Alors là, on apprend des choses. Si on part du principe qu'elle a deux personnalités, en fait, c'est simple. Elle dit qu'effectivement, elles ont rencontré Simon à 17 ans. Elle n'arrivait pas à tomber enceinte, alors du coup, elle l'a trompé, clairement. Parce que cette histoire de grenier, c'est pas possible. D'où tu gardes quelqu'un dans le grenier? C'est une image, je pense. Faut quand même l'ajouter.
This was 9, about 9. I went round and she was waiting for me. She was furious and so angry, the kind of anger you can only have towards yourself. We screamed at each other, argued, cried, we fought. I hit her back, left a bruise. I had my wig on from performing, she tore it off. Eventually, we grew tired of fighting and I left.
Alors, ok. Suspect. Suspecte. Ah, Léna.
Okay. So you want to eliminate me as a suspect? That should eliminate me as a suspect. If I was in Glasgow, can't be in 2 places at once. I thought it made me sound suspicious. It's not a normal thing to do, to drive to the other end of the country. I wanted to keep it simple. I know it was stupid not to tell you everything. Saying I spent the night in Glasgow when my husband went missing, I thought it would, distract you from what was important. It's different now. Now he's...
D'accord. C'est pareil, j'ai l'impression qu'on me parle ici, là. Je peux pas répondre, en fait, c'est trop dommage, ça. Ah. C'est que ça. Bref, on va pas aller là-dedans. Alors, suspecte. D'accord, on n'a rien eu de spécial. Lunettes. Je vais mettre au singulier. Au pluriel. Je pense pas que ça change grand-chose, mais... Non. La chatière. Je sais pas, on en a parlé tout à l'heure.
No, they were shut. Most of the windows are really hard to open anyway. They're stifling in summer. They were painted over by my dad. Could have left a door open accidentally. Or there's a cat flap in the back door.
Enfin, pour passer par une chatière, faut quand même y aller, non? Faut quand même être petit, quoi. Alors, parc, non. Club. Non. MST. Non. Ok. Alors là, j'ai plus de mots. Donc, il va falloir inventer. Alors, voyons les mots qu'on a mis déjà. Ça, j'imagine que c'est les entrées qui ont 61. On affine certaines choses, j'imagine. Simon, il y en a plein. Glasgow, il y en a plein qu'on n'a pas vu du coup. Parents, il y en a plein aussi. Faut qu'on creuse du coup. Si on met Simon, parents. Ouais, il y en a qu'on n'a pas vu.
Simon's parents offered to put me up, but I didn't think it would be a good idea. It would be too sad. Not right now. I'm staying at a friend's.
Si on met Simon, enfant.
Yeah, we were 17. It was a nice wedding, people said. Simon looked very handsome in the photos. His parents paid for everything, but he's an only child, so it was important to them. It was what they called a shotgun wedding, but if you looked at the photos, you couldn't tell. The dress was beautiful. It looked like Princess Diana's. The train wasn't quite as long though. There's a great photo of the bridesmaid helping to carry it out of the car.
D'accord. Simon, on va continuer là-dessus. J'ai noté 17 ans au cas où. Simon, meurtre. Crime. Angoisse. Dépression. Je sais pas si on avait déjà noté ça. Ouais, sûrement que si. Bipolaire. Médicaments. Non. Double. Non. 17 ans.
Long time. We got married when I was 17.
Bon, ça on peut l'ajouter pour s'en souvenir, juste. Robe.
No, he was as shy as me. I asked a friend to ask him out for me. We had our first date at the Odeon in North End. We went to see Risky Business. I had on my one best dress. Simon paid. He bought me a whisper, and I was worried about getting chocolate on my teeth.
Non. Le mobile. Non, je sais pas si on l'a marqué. Non. Parce qu'on ne sait pas pourquoi elle l'aurait tué. Trompé. Ah.
No, I have never been unfaithful. I've never cheated on Simon. Simon was very moral about that sort of thing. He wouldn't just walk out there and sleep with anyone. He wasn't that kind of guy. He took his marriage very seriously. You're reaching here. And I don't know why. No, I've never cheated on anyone. I've never taken anything from anyone. Simon is dead. But I have my baby to care for. Why are you trying to make me sad? Why are you so obsessed with sex and affairs? You cheated on your wife. Is this your thing?
Hein? Pourquoi elle nous parle de... Il faut s'occuper de son bébé, là. Genre, il est mort. Alors, par contre, on va noter ça, parce que je crois pas que je l'ai déjà mis.
I wouldn't say that. It could be passionate. It's just... It was more than that. It wasn't just sex like I had been with the other boys.
Ok, liaison.
An affair. Simon wasn't having an affair. And what did your wife do? She didn't kill you. You think I killed Simon because he was having an affair? Well, I didn't kill him. I wasn't even there. I was in Glasgow worrying about whether my baby was still growing inside me. I mean, why would I kill Simon? I loved him.
Je l'ajoute. Glasgow, il me semble qu'il y avait pas mal de recherches. La mer, c'est pareil. Je sais pas, de récentes recherches vraiment où il y a plein de résultats, quoi. Pourquoi? Je sais pas, on a qu'à noter des mots comme ça, hein.
his way home. He could be hurt. I mean, why hasn't he phoned? I don't know. God, I don't know. Could be anyone. Maybe someone followed him back from the pub. But why would he let them in? Doesn't make sense.
D'accord, mais ça nous apprend pas plus de choses. Là, elle fait son truc bizarre avec les mains, là. Je ne sais pas ce que ça veut dire.
What are you doing talking about Eve?
On peut taper pauvre Simon, peut-être? Non, il n'y a que ça. Qu'est-ce qu'on pourrait... Bon, j'ai cherché rien et c'est tombé là-dessus, c'est bizarre.
Black coffee, thanks. No sugar. Sweet enough as it is.
D'accord. Je sais pas, l'habiller en bleu. En rouge. Je suis désespérée. Je pense qu'on n'a pas tout vu. Je pense qu'il nous manque des éléments, notamment pourquoi en fait elle l'aurait tué, si on part de cette idée. Parents. Anna. Non. Bébé, Anna. Ah.
It's like I told you before. I drove. I took the car and drove. I don't have my own car, but I have a spare set of keys. I just drove north. I wanted to think, put some space between me and them. Everything I told you before is true. I stopped at Glasgow. I was tired, exhausted. I pulled out and I hit a car. My car was okay, but I was worried about the baby, so I went to A&E to get the okay. Everything was fine. Slept in the car. When I woke, I tried to call Hannah from a payphone. She wasn't answering. And then I decided to drive back. I had decided that she was more important to me than Simon.
Ok. Alors, accident. Je sais pas si on l'avait mis. Ouais, on l'avait déjà mis. Voiture. Là, on l'a déjà mis aussi. Bébé. Bon, il y a Simon hein, qui pose problème. Simon blond. Je sais pas, caractère. Gentil. Mince, j'ai mal écrit. Ah. Oui, on tapant des trucs au hasard.
When you've been married for 10 years, stuff accumulates. We could argue about anything. And he's so nice. That doesn't help. He tries to smooth things over, and that just makes it worse. We're both passive-aggressive, so we never normally argue directly about anything. No. I mean, everyone loves Simon. He was so nice to everyone. He loves me.
Alors j'ai une idée. Parce qu'en fait, si on fait le calcul, elle dit qu'elle est mariée depuis 10 ans. Ça veut dire qu'elle s'est mariée en 84 encore. Elle avait 10 ans en 80... elle avait 17 ans en 84 et ses parents sont morts en 84. Ou alors elle parle du moment où elle était... où lui il est mort il y a 3 ans. Je comprends rien. Alors, je vais pas taper les dates en fait en lettres. Donc 1980... 1980... 1980... Non. Je suis déçue. 4. Non, il y a vraiment que ça. Méchant. Ennemi. Collègue. Non. Ami. Ami IE. Là, il y a, mais... rien de plus que ce qu'on sait déjà. La question, c'est... est-ce qu'on sait... est-ce qu'il y a une mécanique de jeu qui nous fait voir la fin ou pas, quoi Ou alors c'est à nous de décider, ouais, vas-y, on a terminé, quoi. Tueur. Tueuse. Vengeance. Colère. Il y a forcément un truc qui nous échappe. Simon, on a 61 entrées sur Simon. Simon plus quoi, du coup? Passion. Simon, mariage. Ah, il y en a une là.
I guess you could call it that, but we were both happy to get married. It was a beautiful wedding. We had our first dance to Come Back and Stay. I'm not sure if that's a good wedding song, but I loved it. I chose it. I mean, it was genuinely our first dance. We'd never danced together before. It was probably awful to watch, but I enjoyed it. It felt like it was just me and Simon for that moment. Just the two of us.
Je sais plus si j'ai tapé les mois. Attendez, je regarde si je l'ai fait. Vendredi, samedi. Il semble pas. Il semble que j'ai juste tapé les jours. Non, j'ai pas tapé les mois. Donc juin. Juillet. Juillette, je vais marquer. Ouh là là, ça va pas. Hein. Date. Heure. Ah.
I think when I drove back it was about 8 or something. And I got back to the house about 3. I didn't. I slept in the car. I left about 9 that night. I wasn't there.
Ah, c'est chaud. Alors, attendez.
You think it's murder? I mean, clearly it's murder. What can I do to help?
Aider.
Sure, you phone the house to let me know when you want to come round? Then I can make sure that I'm there. No, he doesn't keep a diary. That's my thing. I've kept one, well, as long as I can remember, since I was a girl. Helps make sense of my day. And when you're forced to put something into words, it just gives you perspective. Everyone's on the same page.
Bon, j'enchaîne en tant que jeu des mots-clés. Mince, j'ai tapé... J'ai appuyé sans faire exprès. Journal, non. Ok, donc... cette vidéo m'a paru importante, mais je pense qu'on a trouvé tous les mots-clés qui étaient associés, plus ou moins.
Yeah, that's me. But February, I mean, that was months ago. What's that got to do with Simon's murder?
Février.
My name is Hannah. H-A-N-N-A-H. It's palindrome. It reads the same backwards as forwards.
Alors, palindrome, elle l'a dit plusieurs fois, mais je ne crois pas l'avoir déjà... l'avoir déjà écrit. Non.
She recognized me from the window. She told me to come inside, and she hid me. They had made the attic into a place where Hannah could play. There was a dollhouse. She hid me up there. No one else ever went into the attic. It was her place.
Le grenier, je sais pas si on avait beaucoup d'entrées pour ça. Oui, 12. On peut mettre Anna, peut-être. Il y en a une là, qu'on n'a pas eu.
The legal stuff was completed very quickly. Hannah moved back in with Simon. Eric gave Simon the week off to help with the move. He decorated, modernised wallpaper, curtains. Hannah insists the attic be left as it was, dollhouse and all. Simon never went up there. Florence took me home with her. Mother hadn't been expecting twins and had a healthy baby. I guess she was just happy for Florence to clean up. Take away the evidence that this was anything but a happy occasion. Yes, I inherited it from my parents, so it made sense to move back, me and Simon. Felt like going back to old ways before the pregnancy. Reminded me of being a girl, a dollhouse in the attic, old things. We didn't sleep in my parents' bedroom for a long time. We decorated it as soon as we moved in, but it was another year before we started sleeping there.
Alors attends. Là, il y a un truc quand même qui est important de noter quand on revoit les vidéos, c'est qu'on a quand même l'impression que ses parents sont morts un peu par hasard, puisqu'elle habite dans la maison de ses parents maintenant. Et peut-être le fait qu'elle habite dans la maison de ses parents, ça lui a rappelé des mauvais souvenirs et ça a fait sortir cette personne-là. Alors attendez, comment je vais faire? C'est un peu de la psychologie de comptoir, mais ça peut fonctionner. Les parents, parce qu'il y a quand même beaucoup d'entrées, je crois, au sujet des parents, je crois. C'est pas clair, hein, pourquoi ils sont morts. Parents maison, on va marquer. Il y a l'héritage aussi, peut-être qu'on n'a pas marqué l'héritage. Ah.
After the kiss, the next time, he took me back to the house, to our parents' house, to their house. So, it was definitely him. I sometimes think he wanted to get caught to prove to himself that we were different people. He told me about his marriage, told me how his wife was completely different to me. I almost burst out laughing.
Ok, on va l'ajouter quand même. Ok, alors la maison des parents. Héritage, on a dit. Héritage. Hérité. Hérité. Rien du tout.
Yes, I'm fine. I won't be sick again. This happens some days. I'm pregnant.
Ah oui, c'est vrai, j'avais oublié ça. J'avais oublié.
I was living in the attic. It was a very hard time. I was depressed, was still pretty sick of the STD. And I came down one morning and they were dead. They were in bed and both had been sick. They'd thrown up a lot. And I'd slept through it.
C'est louche. Preuve.
Rehearsed? You ask me the same question, you'll get the same answer. Is that your evidence? Of course I thought about what happened then. It's all I've thought about. My husband is dead.
C'est vrai que Marie, on l'a pas tapé, je crois.
I haven't been into work. I guess I've just been waiting, ready to hear from you, hear from my husband.
Femme, je sais pas.
She's crying, I guess. She's sad because she thought she saw her husband with another woman. But it's okay, because she finds out it wasn't her husband, it was his brother. And so it's fine. No, Simon wasn't seeing another woman.
Bon, continuons les petites vidéos.
It was supposed to be a secret. Just because Simon is dead doesn't mean I have to give up all his secrets.
Ah, Simon secret.
It doesn't have anything to do with what happened to Simon. No one murdered my husband because he cheated his expenses for a romantic.
Simon secret. Non. Simon... C'est pas, il y a les notes de frais, mais... Simon cadeau. C'est pas, il y avait l'histoire de cadeau, là.
When she went home, Simon had a birthday tea waiting. Afterwards, she told Simon about me, told him I was pregnant. She wanted me to move in with them, this sister he didn't know she had. She knew that instant. The look on his face. She knew.
Ok, donc là, on patauge un tout petit peu, donc je pense qu'on arrive bientôt à la fin. Je pensais qu'on arriverait plus tôt que ça à la fin, mais je ne sais pas s'il y a une mécanique de jeu qui nous fait avancer réellement pour trouver la fin de l'histoire, la fin réelle, ou est-ce que ça y est, des fois on se dit ah c'est bon, on a déjà trouvé la solution et salut bye bye, je ne sais pas. Donc on va voir. Donc écoutez, on aura appris pas grand chose en fait de plus qu'on ne sait déjà en fait sur cette session là. Sera juste un peu approfondi le personnage. Et moi je reste quand même sur mon idée de base. Donc ça se trouve c'est peut-être pour ça que je fais fausse route, peut-être que finalement j'ai tort et que je reste bloqué là-dessus. Et c'est pour ça qu'on trouve rien. Mais parce que là on n'a aucun élément de plus sur Simon, on sait qu'il était gentil, qu'il était blond et des lunettes, mais on n'a rien. On a toute la zone sombre, c'est pourquoi elle aurait fait ça, ou qui lui en voudrait, pourquoi il aurait été tué. Il n'y a aucun mobile de aucune personne. Je ne sais pas. Bon, et bien écoutez, dans ce cas-là, on se dit à la prochaine, et puis on essaiera de résoudre cette affaire. Des bisous!